Have you ever said something, and then replayed it in your head for hours? Wondering if it sounded stupid? If someone misunderstood you? If people secretly judged you? Maybe it was just a small moment, a joke that didn't land, a message you sent that got a short reply, or a room that suddenly went quiet after you spoke, and somehow your mind turns it into a story. A story where everyone noticed, everyone judged, and everyone remembered. But here's the strange part. Most of the time, nothing actually happened. So why does your brain treat other people's opinions like they're a matter of survival? Visual. Person walking alone on a quiet street at night, and more importantly, why does it feel so hard to stop caring? 2. Problem deep dive. When you care deeply about what people think, life becomes strangely exhausting. Simple decisions suddenly feel loaded. You hesitate before speaking. You reread messages before sending them. You replay conversations long after they're over. And your mind becomes a kind of social detective, constantly scanning. Did they sound annoyed? Did that joke go too far? Did that silence mean something? Visual. Abstract brain animation scanning like radar. What makes this pattern so confusing is that it doesn't just affect your behavior. It slowly affects your identity. You start shaping yourself around invisible expectations. You adjust your tone, your opinions, even your personality, not because someone asked you to, but because somewhere in the back of your mind, there's a quiet fear. What if they don't like the real version of me? And over time, something subtle happens. You stop asking, what do I think? And start asking, what will they think? Visual. Mirror reflecting a slightly blurred face. At first, this seems harmless, maybe even responsible. After all, caring about others' opinions is part of being socially aware. But when the balance shifts too far, your brain starts treating social approval like oxygen, something you constantly need, and something you're always afraid of losing. But here's the part most people misunderstand. This pattern doesn't exist because you're weak, or insecure, or overly sensitive. It exists because your brain is doing exactly what it evolved to do. 3. Reframe. For most of human history, being rejected by your group wasn't just uncomfortable. It was dangerous. Humans survived through cooperation, through tribes, through communities. If you were excluded, you lost protection. You lost resources. Sometimes, you lost your chance to survive. So the brain developed a powerful system. A system designed to monitor social acceptance. Not casually, but constantly. Visual. Early humans gathered around a fire. Your brain still carries this ancient system today, even though modern life looks very different. Now rejection usually means something smaller. An awkward conversation. A negative comment. A disapproving look. But the brain doesn't fully understand the difference. To your nervous system, social judgment can still feel like a threat. And that's where the deeper mechanism begins. 4. Psychological mechanism. Inside your brain there's a network responsible for social awareness. Psychologists often connect it to areas like the anterior cingulate cortex and amygdala. These regions help detect emotional pain and social signals. Interestingly, studies show that social rejection activates the same neural pathways as physical pain. In other words, your brain literally processes rejection as a form of injury. Visual. Simple brain diagram lighting up. Now imagine your mind as a security system. Its job is to detect potential threats. But instead of burglars, your system is scanning for social danger, signs that you might be judged, excluded, or misunderstood. And like many security systems, it sometimes becomes too sensitive. A neutral comment becomes criticism. Silence becomes disapproval. A delayed reply becomes rejection. This creates a mental model psychologists sometimes call the spotlight effect. Your brain assumes people are paying far more attention to you than they actually are. But in reality, most people are busy worrying about their own spotlight. Visual. Stage with many people each standing in their own spotlight. Everyone thinks they're being watched, which means very few people are actually watching. And yet your brain keeps running the same protective script. Stay careful. Don't embarrass yourself. Make sure they like you. Because from the brain's perspective, it's safer to worry too much than not worry at all. This creates a quiet problem. When your brain becomes overly focused on approval, it starts shaping your behavior around avoiding rejection, not around expressing yourself. And that's where things begin to change. 5. Practical framework. So how do you loosen the grip of this system? Not by forcing yourself to stop caring. That rarely works. Instead, the goal is to retrain the brain's threat detection system. Here are 4 principles that help. 1. Shift from mind reading to evidence. Your brain naturally tries to guess what others think. Psychologists call this mind reading bias. The problem is, most of those guesses are wrong. So instead of asking what do they think about me, ask, what actual evidence do I have? Visual. Notebook with 2 columns titled Facts and Stories. Example. You send a message. Someone replies with a short answer. Your brain might interpret this as annoyance. But the evidence may simply be, they were busy. They were tired. They were multitasking. This small shift interrupts the brain's automatic assumptions. 2. Reduce social overscanning. Highly self-aware people often scan social environments constantly. Tone, body language, reactions. But this scanning consumes mental energy, and it amplifies anxiety. A useful trick is to deliberately shift attention outward. Instead of asking, how am I being perceived? Ask what is actually happening in this moment. Visual. Slow-moving waves on water. For example, when speaking with someone, focus on their story, not your performance. Your brain can't monitor both intensely at the same time, and this reduces self-consciousness. 3. Normalize small social friction. Your brain expects social interactions to go smoothly, but real conversations include awkward pauses, misunderstandings, moments that feel slightly off. The problem is when your brain treats these moments as failures. Instead, try reframing them as normal social noise. Example. A joke falls flat. Instead of replaying it all evening, treat it like background static. Something that happens to everyone. Visual. Small ripple fading across water. Your brain learns from repetition. The more you normalize these moments, the less threatening they feel. 4. Practice controlled authenticity. If your behavior is always shaped by approval, your brain never learns that authenticity is safe. So start small. Share a genuine opinion. Express a preference. Say what you actually think, in low-risk situations. Each time you do this and nothing catastrophic happens, your brain updates its model. It learns. Expression doesn't equal rejection. And slowly, the fear signal weakens. Visual. Person writing one sentence in a notebook. 6. Integration. You can think of your mind like a social radar. Its job is to detect signals from others. But sometimes the radar becomes too sensitive, picking up noise, static, imaginary threats. The goal isn't to turn the radar off. Humans need connection. The goal is to adjust the sensitivity, to recognize when the signal is real and when it's just background noise. Because once you see this system clearly, something interesting happens. You stop fighting your brain and start understanding it. 7. Quiet, empowering, close. Caring about what people think doesn't make you weak. It means your brain is built for connection. But connection works best when it isn't driven by fear. When you slowly retrain that inner radar, the world begins to feel different. Conversations feel lighter, mistakes feel smaller, and other people's opinions stop carrying so much weight. Visual. Empty room with sunlight slowly filling the space. Because most people aren't studying you. They're busy living their own stories. And the quiet truth is this. The moment you stop performing for invisible judges is often the moment you finally start feeling like yourself.